Welcome to Tiger Basketball Report, episode number 8. I'm your host, Devin LaTulippe, joined by my co-host, Landon Speck. Landon, how you doing?
Doing great, man. What a time.
What a time to be alive. Okay, so no Sam or Noah today. A lot of scheduling conflicts with the new semester. We're still trying to figure it out. We'll get the crew back eventually.
Yeah, it's been a while since we've been on here.
It's been a while, yeah. A lot of travel. I was coming home from Virginia, great state of Virginia, and there's a lot of stuff going on this new semester. But we'll have everybody back in the future, probably for the next episode. We have a lot of stuff to cover. So I'll kick it to you, Landon. What do you want to start with? Or we're starting with, we don't have to go in order. We're kind of just going to, since it's been so long, we're going to kind of jumble the games together here. But the last one we covered was North Texas, which we said would be a close game. It was. Landon, what do you got?
Well, Memphis has played, I believe, 5 games since we've last been on here. So like Devin said, yes, lots to talk about. Last time we spoke, it was about North Texas. Since then, Memphis has gone 4-1 in 5 American Athletic Conference games. East Carolina, Temple, Charlotte, Wichita State, UAB, with Temple and Charlotte being road games. Now, we talked about on that last episode how we thought this team would do in the conference play, and we all agreed that although on paper, yes, they probably should go undefeated, that's just not plausible. That's not something that would probably happen. And sure enough, Memphis drops one of those games on the road at Temple by 7 points. And that game was pretty bizarre, honestly. That's a game where Temple I'm sure as many fans already know, Temple out-rebounded Memphis like 50-25 or 49-25. So basically doubled Memphis in rebounds, which is crazy. Which, that's a total team effort thing from Memphis. So the bigs they're responsible. I mean, they're supposed to be the better rebounders, saying as they're the bigs on the team. But rebounding is a total team effort, and Memphis just didn't do that well. That was a game that Temple really got up for. I believe they had free T-shirts. If Sam were here, he'd be saying it, but it was free pizza night, free donuts, free T-shirt. We'll pay you to come to the game, that sort of night. And sure enough, that's what happened. They got a decent crowd. The team was up for it, and they out-hustled Memphis, and Memphis took an L there, but not the end of the world. Winning on the road in college basketball is hard, and through this first stretch of the American Athletic Conference schedule, going back to FAU and North Texas, Memphis is sitting at 6-1, which, if they keep up that pace, I think fans will be pretty happy towards the end of the schedule. Now, this most recent game versus UAB, which we'll get more into later, Memphis won by margin by 23 points, and that was the first game since Florida Atlantic that Memphis won by any sort of margin. So all of these games have been close, which I think is definitely scary for fans, scary for anybody following this team. But I think that win against UAB was a statement, and I think that was a big deal for them, maybe building some momentum going forward.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. And interesting note about the Temple game. We talked about the bigs, and the rest of the bigs didn't really rebound that well. I mean, they only grabbed 29, and it looks like Dane Angel led the team with only 5. The leading rebounder for Temple was a guard that came off the bench, Shane Dezzoni, who finished with 15 points and 13 rebounds, which is just ridiculous. He should not be getting out-rebounded by a guard. I believe he's like 6'4". So that's really just an effort thing, like Landon mentioned. There's obviously some skill involved in rebound. Not to say it's all effort, but if you're getting out-rebounded by double, if you're getting doubled up, it's an effort thing. Going back to the East Carolina, after the Temple game, there was Charlotte. We were talking outside before we started this. Charlotte, the score looks a lot closer than the game was.
It is true. They did let up a little bit at the end of that Charlotte game. We were talking about not winning by margin. They definitely should have won that game by more. And let's be real here. Style points matter for the tournament metrics and the way your final picture's painted for the committee on Selection Sunday. Those style points and those margin victories really do matter. So, yeah, while it's nice to win some of these games, a 4-point win against East Carolina at home, that's honestly not doing much for you.
Right.
And that's the tough reality of playing in this league. And, we're not trying to come in here and dunk on the American. People do that enough. But, that's just the reality of it for Memphis. Like, that's beating UAB by 23 points. That's a big deal, I think, for this team going forward.
Yeah, especially hanging triple digits on them. Even if it did come in the last 5 seconds off of PJ Carter.
We're not going to talk about that.
Who cares? No one's going to remember that.
Yeah, no one's going to remember that.
Those remember the 100. Interesting note about the East Carolina game. Memphis shot, I believe it was like 26% from 3 that game. That one concerned me. Everybody's going to have an off shooting night. Memphis shoots 40% from the 3-point line. I'm not worried about Memphis shooting the ball. East Carolina was kind of in a zone for a lot of that game, and it kind of had the Tigers in trouble. Since then, it's looked better when I've seen teams go into a zone against the Tigers. That was concerning. And also, we were talking outside before we started the podcast, and we were kind of just like refreshing our memory on the games we were looking through. And we were like, okay, what happened in this game? And I mean, really, what it comes down to every time is, okay, PJ Haggerty had 23 points. Okay, PJ Haggerty had 20 points. Okay, PJ Haggerty.
Let's run through it.
Yeah.
All right, since North Texas, so that Florida Atlantic game, that was a big Tiger Center game. But since North Texas, Haggerty, these are the leading scores: Haggerty 27, Haggerty 25, Haggerty 21, Haggerty 18, Haggerty 22, Haggerty 23. PJ Haggerty is awesome. PJ Haggerty is an awesome college basketball player. He's going to be a reason why this team should be taken seriously in March. Granted, they make it there, which, I mean, they at this point, they're all more than likely going to be in that tournament. But PJ Haggerty's great. He should be on one of the 3 All-American teams by the end of the year. And he's super fun to watch. I think something, we'll talk about him a little specifically right now because I just think he's that good and worth highlighting. I think he has made some strides with the three-point shot, which, I mean, that's big for his development. That was probably his main concern coming over from Tulsa. 6'3" guard and not having a 3-ball in 2025 can be a little concerning. But this year, he's shooting 42.6% from 3 after shooting 28.9% on it last year. Now, granted, he still does not shoot a ton of them, so that sample size probably isn't the biggest, but he seems confident shooting it. He has a nice step back that he'll go to, and especially in some bigger moments, which I think is really good. That's the thing. He just makes shots when you need them, and that's exactly what you want out of your best player, out of your star. He's second in the nation in points per game, so I mean, just an absolute bucket that Penny Hardaway got in the portal, and I think we've talked about it before. Penny's been so good at hitting on those just high level, All-American level scores in the portal. It's the 3rd in a row. The first 2 were Kendrick Davis and David Jones, and now Haggerty. So, what a get he's been for this team. And I mean, there's no telling where they'd be without him.
Yeah, true. And we've seen in the game against UAB, Dane Danger got the start. He also looks like he could. Penny said he's gonna be in the starting lineup for the rest of the season. What that means is he's gonna be in the starting lineup until he decides he doesn't want to be.
That's right.
Or doesn't want him to be.
Yep.
There's no that doesn't happen. So he scored 21 points, 10 to 12, efficient, 10 to 12, and he had a interesting dunk on the Axel Linderbaugh and an interesting finish.
Yeah, this is a big game for Memphis Twitter. If you want to say.
Yeah, big day.
Big day for the social media people in Memphis. For Memphis, it's let's just say let's kind of paint this picture for this UAB game, because I was talking about it yesterday, sort of in one of our classes. But anyways, UAB was, as many of you probably know, was chosen to win the American Athletic Conference by the media before the season started, and a big part of it was because they have Yatsel Lindeborg, who is also the preseason American Athletic Conference Player of the Year. And he's great. He had 18 points against Memphis, but from the very start, you could tell that Memphis took this game personally, whether that had to do with him or UAB being the preseason favorite or whatever it was. All of that just put together, and they just kind of played with a different level of intensity because of that, it seemed like. And as Devin said, I mean, Danger had the big dunk on Yatsel at the very beginning of the game. I'm sure many of you saw that. He played a great game, and then in post game and at media, Dame said he didn't even know who Yatsel Lindeborg was. Which do you believe him?
No, I don't believe him. He said, he was like, I didn't know who he was until the pregame scout. I was like,
yeah, there's no way.
Either that's scary that you don't know who he is, or you're just like trolling or whatever. I mean, I don't really have a problem with him saying it. I feel like it's a pretty common thing.
It was funny. Yeah. I mean, Dane went in the presser after dropping 21 points.
He had a sweet hat on, by the way.
Yeah,
he had a sweet hat on.
Yeah. And he just said he didn't know who Yatsel Lindeborg was.
Yeah.
And, I think since they've had an exchange on social media, and these two teams play again. They play in March, early March. I believe March 2nd at Legacy Arena. So that should be a fun one. I'm excited for that one.
We'll see if Andy Kennedy can stay in the game the whole time this time.
Yeah. Anyways, there was a bigger story leading up to this game.
Yeah.
And, those, not necessarily external, but those side stories, if you will, add a lot of drama and context to these games, and it makes them more interesting. And I think when Memphis is playing in these games that fans may not care as much about, those kind of stories or make them much more intriguing and fun for everybody involved.
Yeah, and always a good thing when you can have bulletin board material. I mean, not like UAB really said or did anything on their own. They were voted number one, but anything to just get yourself motivated, get your team motivated, get up for these American games in January and February.
Another thing I want to highlight, we were talking about, or I guess you were more so, we're talking about the 3-point struggles against East Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
I believe there was some in Temple too, but the last three, Charlotte, Wichita State, UAB, versus Charlotte, Memphis goes 40% from three on 10 of 25. Wichita State, Memphis is 6 of 19 from three on 31.6, which isn't great. But then the UAB game, they bounce back. They go 9 of 17 for 52.9%. I remember when we first started this podcast, started the season, Memphis was shooting well from three, and none of us were convinced that it was real,
Mm-hmm.
honestly, for good reason. But it's held up. Memphis is a good 3-point shooting team, and I've watched this program for a long time. I've lived here for a long time. That's not common. That's not something that's usually happens. So it's been a welcome change. But I mean, when you look at the personnel, it makes sense. Colby Rogers he's a great shooter. Maybe the two that have bumped that number up higher than we thought is Haggerty shooting a good percentage. Haggerty 2 for 2 versus UAB from three, and then Tyrese Hunter, especially in Maui, shot way better from three than we hoped he would. And I mean, those three are really the main reason. But PJ Carter can come off the bench and knock down some shots. I thought UAB was the best PJ Carter game there's been.
Yeah, PJ Carter played some good minutes.
He had 14 points, knocked down some shots.
Yeah.
He was also the one who got, I believe he was the one who got Memphis to 100 there.
He was, yeah, the little ISO bucket. They said in the post game, they were like, yeah, PJ said he wanted an ISO this week, and he didn't get his chance to like the 5-second mark, so he was like, I'm going to shoot a three. I mean, he shot.
Let that thing fly.
Yeah, he shot 50% from three, so, good for PJ Carter. Shout out PJ Carter, got us to 100.
Shout out PJ.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the good shooting numbers for Memphis, especially in UAB, I mean, 62.3% from the field. Now, I feel like we've been holding this off too long. A big problem for Memphis, losing the Temple game besides the rebounding, and then the reason these other games have been close is they were Wichita State. Memphis was trailing for a long time.
Yeah, that was a disgusting game.
Wichita and yeah, I mean, there's a certain someone on this podcast that was trying to say Wichita State would be a problem when we previewed this conference schedule.
I mean, I think that listen, folks. I said Wichita State would be a problem. I said potential loss. If you watch that game, you know that Memphis was in hell playing Wichita State. They turned the ball over 20 times.
Wichita State was giving Memphis some trouble, so
20 turnovers.
Devin over here just knows everything.
Oh yeah.
And just like UAB, Memphis does play at Wichita State later in the schedule on February 16th. So another one. Sunday, February 16th, 11 a.m. Big day for Devin LaTulippe.
Watch out, man.
Big day for Devin.
I promise I'll come on this podcast and grandstand if we lose that game.
Oh my goodness.
Obviously, I don't want Memphis to lose.
Right. But yeah, no, that game was kind of ugly.
Yeah.
But
to say the least.
What I was getting to.
Mm-hmm.
Turnovers, man.
Yeah.
This team cannot stop turning the ball over. Watching it as like a basketball purist, it's infuriating.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness. So they had 16 against Charlotte. Wichita State, they had 20. No, sorry, that was Wichita State's number. Memphis had 20. I mean, that's still not great.
Exactly.
I was about to say, I'm reading Wichita State's number, but that can't be far off.
6 assists, right? It was something ridiculous.
Yeah, 20 turnovers, 6 assists for Memphis against Wichita State. I mean, that's
unreal.
Nasty. That is nasty.
Awful basketball.
Sam were here, he'd be saying unethical hoops.
Yeah, Sam. Yeah, shout out Sam.
Shout out Sam. Anyways, turnovers, and I don't get it. I don't get it.
Yeah.
You have a veteran team. You have 2 veteran guards, and then PJ Haggerty, who at this point may as well be a veteran. I mean, he's played a lot of basketball. He's one of the best players in the country.
Yep.
And they're turning it over, and it's not like they're moving the ball and then the defense rotates with them, keeps up, and makes a great play in the passing lane or anything. It's just lackadaisical stuff.
Yep.
It's careless stuff. Dribble it off their foot, throw it away out of bounds.
Mm-hmm.
Just the stuff that happens when you just don't want to be out there and don't care, whatever it is.
It's not even like a consequence of playing fast pace, because they don't always come in the fast. It's something in the half court set.
Yes, some of it's when they dribble the ball up slow, like
Yeah.
Devin said. It's incredible. I have seen something like it, but
Yeah.
it's kind of unexplainable. Like I just don't understand.
Well, after the Wichita State game, Penny Hardaway came into the post game with he was very confident that he could fix the team. Essentially, is what he was saying. He was like, I know what to do now with the turnover problem. We had 13 against UAB. It was the UAB silly turnovers came in like the final couple minutes.
Let's highlight they had 3 in the first half.
Yeah, exactly.
Against UAB.
It was
against UAB. They scored over 50 points and had only 3 turnovers in the first half. I thought that was the best half of basketball that Memphis has played all season.
Undoubtedly, yeah. It was perfect. And I think the turnovers were like I can't remember off the top of my head, but I feel like they were not like. There's obviously not a good turnover, but I don't think they were like disgusting to watch.
It wasn't like they were throwing in pick sixes.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, I mean that could very well just be the answer to all of Memphis's problems. They just take care of the basketball. They may be able to run through everybody.
If they can keep it to under 14, still a lot, but not for Memphis. If they can keep it under 14, they're gonna be a really hard team to beat if they continue shooting like this.
You can't go in and turn the ball over 20 times.
Yeah, that's unreal.
Unreal.
I'd say 13 is a good number.
Yeah.
And that's still a lot. Obviously,
that is still a lot.
Yeah, that's still a ton.
There's good teams who stay in the single
digits. Yeah. Obviously, that's the goal. But from like we gotta pace ourselves here with the single digits. Have we had a single digit turnover game this season?
Man, I don't know.
Gun to my head, I'd say no.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I really don't.
I don't think so.
I mean, I would hope there's one out there somewhere, but yeah, like you said, I'm honestly not sure.
Yeah.
So, you have anything to add on the games? Any of the games?
I do. I want to spotlight the bigs since the Temple game, like we were talking earlier, and how they really didn't show up to rebound or hustle or anything like that. And I think they've been great ever since then. I think Nick Jourdain had his best game, or one of his best games this season against UAB. Finally hit a three, broke that little cold spell he was on. 7 rebounds, 4 assists. Dane Danger showed up to play. I think we already mentioned that on here. 10, 12, 21 points.
Yeah, especially in the UAB game, but he's been playing just pretty well overall as of late. I believe he had another good game somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man, can't find it right now.
It might have been, was it Charlotte?
Possibly.
Yeah, well, while Landon tries to find that, I'll continue. But yeah, bigs have just been playing so much better, and it really just opens up everything else for the floor, obviously.
Yeah, Dane against Charlotte had 14 points on 6 of 8 shooting, 23 minutes. So, yeah, he just provides a little. We've talked about it before. He just provides a little bit more offensively than Musa, but this team's going to need Musa.
Yes, I do think that Musa coming off the bench is the right.
I do too. I agree. I think Dane just gives you a little more versatility from that spot.
I mean, Musa did great last game. He had 9 and 8. Like that's unreal. That's all we.
Another player from the Charlotte game that we haven't gotten to talk about yet was Dante Harris. Dante Harris made it 30. He scored 5 points in that game in 13 minutes. Had a rebound, and he was pretty impactful. I thought that game. He stuck some good defense. Just another interesting player going forward. Barako Koji ended up getting some run in the Wichita State game.
Wichita State and UAB.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think it was Charlotte where he didn't play, and maybe a few of the games before that, Koji had kind of fallen out of the picture. But that Wichita State game, when Memphis was, they were dragging along through that game and they were struggling. Penny put Barako Koji in the game, and in this 5 minutes, he made a three. He made a corner three. Mm-hmm. It was a big corner three. It kind of got things going for the team in that game, and sort of sparked their comeback and their run to go win. They went on a 12-2 run in the last 4.5 minutes of the game.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I mean that was good for Baraka to get in there and just prove he could still contribute something to this team, because I'm sure it's discouraging when you bring in a guy essentially recruit over him during the season. So it's good to see that.
Yeah, and I think there's space for both of them on that. I think they both kind of bring a different presence, because I don't exactly want Baraka handling the ball. Like, that's
fair.
Yeah,
Dante's more of like a true point guard.
I feel fine, yeah.
But that's tough for Koji because he's smaller, so he kind of has to handle the ball if he's out there.
But he plays tough defense. He plays scrappy defense, which is always good. You always need a guy like that on the floor. Okay.
Yeah, there's times and situations for him for sure.
Right. Okay. You got anything else, Lane?
Yeah, I was gonna do a quick little resume update for Memphis. So just looking at the teams that they've played, how they're doing. And then update on some of the bracket projections. So, UConn, we talked about how that win's going to turn out. We don't really know. Well, they're sitting at 14-6, and they're ranked 25th right now. I believe they just lost. Yeah, they lost at Xavier. They lost to Creighton at home. Mm-hmm. They've been a little up and down in their Big East schedule, and they haven't played anybody too great really. Mm-hmm. They do have a win over Gonzaga, which Gonzaga has kind of been the same, just up and down, inconsistent. They're actually unranked right now, which, Memphis hadn't played Gonzaga.
UConn or Gonzaga? Oh, Gonzaga.
Yeah, Gonzaga's unranked. Okay. So, yeah, that win, after UConn bounced back and beat Baylor, and then they won at Texas, and then they won the Gonzaga game, it looked like that UConn could just be back on this upward trajectory, but there's been some bumps in the road in Big East play. Auburn, team they lost to, Auburn's number 1 now. They beat Tennessee. They lead the nation in quad 1 wins. Auburn's the best team in the country. So as far as quality losses go, I mean, that's probably the best team you could lose to if you're going to lose any game this year. Now, the game I really wanted to highlight from Maui was Michigan State, which Memphis won by 8. Michigan State's ranked 7th, and they're 17-2. They're having a great season. So that win seems like it could go very far for Memphis come March. Michigan State ranked 14th in KenPom. I was going to give an update too on Memphis' standings and all those and all the rankings. Michigan State 17th in the net, so that's a legit quadrant 1 win for the Tigers. And when that happened, I don't think we maybe took it as seriously as we could have. I think Michigan State has exceeded expectations this year a little bit. Memphis has a home win over Ole Miss, an Ole Miss team who they have a road win over Alabama since we've gotten on here, and that's going to be one of the better wins in all of college basketball when it's all said and done. Winning on the road is so hard. Winning on the road in the SEC is incredibly hard, and then Alabama is a team that can be a 1 seed in March. So the Ole Miss, though, they're 10-3. They lost a stunner the other night to Texas A&M where they were winning the entire game except for like the last 10 seconds. One of those deals. So we'll see with Ole Miss, but they've definitely shown that they could be a good team. Now Memphis, ranked 19th in the AP poll, moved up 5 spots this week. They're hovering around, I think they're in the 40s pretty much everywhere in the metrics. Yeah, they're 42 in KenPom. I believe in the net they are 40. They're 40. So 40 on the nose in the net. And then in Torvik they're 46. So hovering around all the same spots there. And then I'm not going to say consensusly because I'm not going to sit here and act like I'll look at every bracketology, but Joe Lunardi, who most people pay attention to, has Memphis as a 5 seed.
That's what I've seen most.
Yeah, and then I'm going to give a shout out to this account on X at JBR Bracketology. If you're into college basketball and bracketology at all, he's a great follow. He does great work over there on Ep8, so go check him out if you get a chance at JBR Bracketology. He has Memphis as a 5 seed as well, and he actually has them at the top 5 seed, so he has them at 17. And he's been one of those accounts who, or people, however you want to say it, he's given Memphis a lot of love even through the ebbs and flows of this season, Memphis struggling. And I think it makes sense because I think Memphis' AP ranking all season, that's obviously the number next to you on TV, so that's what a lot of people are going to look at. I've been saying that ranking's always been lower than it should be. And this is a big problem, maybe not big, but this is a problem in my opinion with college basketball and football both, is the preseason AP poll existing. Because what happens is when you rank teams well into the season, 4 or 5 weeks into the season, there's voters who still use that AP poll, that preseason poll, as a template for their ballot in the 5th or 6th week of the season, and I just don't think that's fair.
Really inflates wins or devalues them for no real reason.
Right, you're not taking the resumes and disregarding what they were preseason and stacking them up like that, because if you do that, Memphis has one of the better resumes in the country based on their non-conference slate and what they did in that one. So, it's good to see Memphis getting respect in the bracketology, because that's really all that matters at the end of the day. A 5 seed would be Penny Hardaway's highest seed since being hired at Memphis. I mean, his 2 tournament appearances, they were 8 seeds both times, I believe. I know they were 8. They were in the 8-9 game for sure. Whether they were either 8 or 9.
I think you're right. I think they were 8.
But yeah, that's Memphis in good shape for the tournament. Just have to take care of business going forward.
Yeah, you said it. That's the. It'd be hard. I don't want to say it'd be hard, but it would take a lot to Memphis to altogether miss the tournament, I think, at this point.
Yeah. I mean, they should win this conference.
Yeah, they should.
For sure.
We win
the
first.
tournament may be a different deal, but they should definitely win this regular season crown.
As long as they hold, definitely the regular season crown. I mean, we're in first now. We have a tiebreaker over North Texas. So.
Yep.
We don't play North Texas again. We played them once this year.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, just all in all, though, after Florida, there's Florida Atlantic and there's UAB, and then there's a bunch of scary sandwiched in between. Yep. With Charlotte maybe not really being as much, but I think just that UAB game, it was a good thing to put in the image of fans to, maybe lower the worry meter a little bit.
Right.
These are games that you need to win by margin. You need to win by the double digits, honestly, if you want to hold your standing where you're at, if you do want that 4 or 5 seed.
Right. Okay. Well, do you have anything else to add, Landon? I know you kind of just went on you did your bracketology thing.
No, that's
very helpful.
That's it.
All right. I think that's it for me. I don't think I had anything else to bring up today. So
Yeah. We'll be back soon enough. It's just recording this during conference play. It's pretty hard to get on here and talk about one game, and then that's probably only like a 10 or 15 minute episode.
Right.
So we're gonna let probably 2 or 3 at a time happen, and we'll come up on here and talk about those. And honestly, it's more interesting to hear about the big picture stuff, like
at this point,
like the tournament projections and all that. So we'll get on there and talk about it, and we'll talk about the players, and we'll have a good time doing it.
Yep, undoubtedly have a good time doing it. So next up in Memphis is Tulane on tomorrow.
Right.
Tomorrow 8 o'clock.
Tomorrow for those if you're listening on not today. Today is Wednesday.
Yeah, today's Wednesday.
What is it? The 29th.
29th.
Yeah, January 29th. So for any todays or tomorrows or whatever it may be, today is Wednesday, January 29th, the day of recording.
Yeah, Wednesday. Yep. All right. Well, thank you all for listening. I hope you have a great day, and we will catch you next time.